So we are coming for you, says Chief Constable Sarah Crew, if you are the perpetrator of domestic violence. Now, great article in the Guardian newspaper this week. It's January 2025, in case any of you want to look it up, where Sarah Crew is talking about violence against women and girls and how this is a forced priority and how they're going to be taking enforcement action, they're going to be taking disruption action and also preventative action. A lot of great figures in there as well. Now, I believe that this is the sort of topic that will lead to promotion board questions. And actually, we do know from the work we do with our clients in our promotion academy that these are the sort of questions. Actually, these are questions that are being asked in promotion boards. So you need to get yourself ready for these sort of questions. And in this video, I'm going to talk about 3 interview questions, which I believe are highly likely if you are going for the rank of sergeant or inspector or chief inspector or superintendent. So pin your ears back, folks. Any moment now we'll start, but before we do, just need to outline who I am because you may not have seen one of my videos before. My name is Brendan from Blue Light, and over the past 31 years now, I've been supporting people for the police recruitment process, police promotion process, specialist interviews with a huge amount of success. A lot of it whilst I was a serving officer, where I just did it because I thought it was a good thing to do. But now I make this my living. This is what we do. And I've got a great team of coaches around me and we have an amazing success rate. You can find out more about our academy program down below. So that's why you should listen to me, because we know what we do. I've coached, like I said, thousands of people just like you. Let's dive in. So first of all, a very open question, forward-facing one, which often trips people up, which just goes on along the lines of, how will you as a future leader ensure violence against women and girls is a priority? So how will you as a future leader ensure violence against women and girls is a priority? Now, first of all, we've got to make sure we get our forward-facing structure right. So we want to talk about why the thing is important, how we're going to do it, no more than 3 things, and then what's it going to result in. And what they don't want is you just rattling off what forced policy is, because they know what the forced policy is, you know what the forced policy is. They want to know about how you're going to interpret that and deliver that, the how, not the what, but the how with your operational officers that you supervise and lead. And this is where it gets tricky, because what most people do is they just list off a shopping list. What we want you to do and what we encourage you to in our academy program is we want you to focus on no more than 3 things. 1 long-term thing, 1 short-term thing, and 1 thing that you're doing already, but you can't do enough of because you've not got the stripes or the pips sewn on rather than just Velcroed on. Does that make sense? No more than 3 things, because if you deliver more than 3 things, you can't go into sufficient detail because you've only got 5 or 6 minutes to answer your question. And the harsh truth is, they won't remember the first thing you said. By the time you've got to your 5th or 6th thing, they won't remember the first and second things because you're just boring them now. You're just delivering this shopping list. Doesn't work. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Question number 1. Question number 2. This is rear-facing. So what have you done to ensure violence against women and girls is a priority? And they may ask a sort of follow-up question. What we're looking for here is how you have worked effectively or enabled your team to work effectively with partner agencies or community members to ensure that violence against women and girls is delivered as a forced priority. Now, you might be thinking that's a really tough question, but it stems from so many inquiries into vulnerable people who have passed away as a result of people being violent towards them. Serious case reviews are called. If you've not seen any of them or read any of them, you really do need to read them because they give you a really good indication as to what's gone wrong. And I can pretty much guarantee that in the executive summary for just about all of them, these 3 things crop up. How can I guarantee that? Because I've read so many of them over the past 2 decades plus. Yeah, well over 2 decades. I've been reading them for over 2 decades now. They make for awful reading. You know, when you just read them, you just think, how could this have happened to this poor vulnerable child, woman, man, whoever it might be? But invariably 3 things crop up. The first one is a lack of information sharing. And that is invariably a big one, a really big one. There's been a lack of joined up approach, a lack of information sharing, and that leads to the second one, which is a collaborative approach. Because once you've got that information sharing right, you should be collaborating with other agencies to ensure that the thing doesn't happen, to ensure that that young person, that woman, that man doesn't escape the safety net of the people who are meant to be there to protect them. And you can only do that in collaboration with others, which is where this question is going towards. Now, I would expand, if they just asked you about collaboration, I'd expand into information sharing. I'd also expand into the third thing, which is professional curiosity. Just about all of those executive summaries mention how those involved in this case demonstrated a lack of professional curiosity. Their willingness to question lies effectively. Their willingness to go, hang on a minute. Their willingness to go, there's something not quite right about this. And like a dog with a bone, they just don't let go until they've found the truth of what's really going on. And so what this is looking at is how, not just how you're going to implement force policy, but how you're going to enable a culture where information sharing is the norm, where collaborative working with partner agencies is the norm, and where professional curiosity is demonstrated by your officers, and anything else that you can think of. There's just 3 starters for 10. Now, how you deliver that? Well, that's what we do in the academy. We coach you, we support you in how to actually deliver an answer to that type of question, one that's going to have them on the edge of their seats, listening to you thinking, I'd be an idiot if I failed this person, and also thinking, whatever happens when this person gets promoted, I want them on my team. And those are the 3 things that we want our assessors to be thinking about you as a candidate, and that's what we'll prepare you to do. Question number 3. This is actually a scenario type question. These are incredibly popular among several forces for promotion boards, and it goes like this. You're a sergeant in the parade room and you've just delivered you've paraded your officers on duty, and you've just delivered some news that a case involving a woman who was a victim of domestic violence that was listed for Crown Court next week is no longer going ahead because she's withdrawn her evidence, she's not cooperating, and other parts of the case are falling apart as a result of it, and the Crown Prosecution Service has decided not to pursue the case. You leave the parade room, and then 5 minutes later, a young student officer comes in, closes the door and says, Sarge, can I just tell you that one of your officers, one of my colleagues, John, when you said that, as soon as you walked out of the room, called her a stupid bitch, and I won't be attending any incidents that she reports in the future because she's just going to go bandit on us. And I thought that was very disrespectful. I thought it was misogynistic. I thought it didn't display a very good understanding of what this woman was going through. And I challenged him, and all he said was, get back in your box. You're not in a training school now. Once you've got a few years under your belt, then you can have an opinion. What are you going to do? So, what are you going to do? And they want to hear something that's more than just, I will speak with the officer, I'll put it to paper, I'll make sure that PSD are informed. They don't want to hear about what the force policy is. Well, they do, but they want to know how you're going to deliver it. Because I know some of you would be saying, oh, that's exactly what I'd do. I'd bring the officer in, I'd have a chat with them about what caused them to say that. I'd point out to them that, someone has indicated that they'd said this. Would I reveal the name of the person? Oh, that's an interesting thing. Oh, how would I go about recording it? Oh, what forms would I put it on? Would I put it on forms? Would I just put it in my daybook? And this is where it all gets a bit complicated. Now, in case you're thinking, oh, I would definitely do. Listen, I put this very scenario to over 100 promotion candidates from across the country, both in one-to-ones, in webinars, and in seminars when I've been called in to support a force, actually 2 forces, in respect of supporting their promotion candidates. And we came up with this scenario as one that would be one worth working towards, because if you can work through this one as a forward-facing question, you can pretty much work through anything. What was interesting is just about all of the officers, actually all of the officers, all of them, every one of them, this was something that concerned me a little bit, every one of those officers, whether it be face-to-face, small group webinar, seminars, every one of the officers concerned said that in reality, all that would happen is that the sergeant would have a word with John, because John might have been having a bad day, and just tell them not to behave like that in the future. And in respect of the officer that reported it, their life would probably be hell. And about 90% of all the officers who I spoke to indicated that she would probably get labelled a grass, and she would probably find her life very difficult, and it would probably result in her leaving. Now, this was kind of shocking to me, really. I thought we'd come a long way since I left over a decade ago. I would have expected this about 20 years ago. I wouldn't have expected it today. So kind of shocking results. And in case any of you are thinking, that sounds like a cultural issue that the force should have been aware of. Yes, the two forces I worked with, I made them both aware. I made their command aware of what had happened. They didn't require me to name any individuals, so I didn't share any individual names, but I just told them that these are your brightest sparks. These are your promotion candidates. These are the ones that are going to be wearing stripes and pips in the future. And what they think the norm is this. So I gave it to the force, both in writing and verbally as a briefing. So did I do the right thing in challenging what I thought was institutional cultural misbehavior? Is that what you'd call it? Inappropriate cultural misbehavior? I'm not quite sure what you'd call it, but there's something about the culture in those forces that made me think there's something not quite right here. Something not quite right here. Invariably, the majority of them had a model answer of what the force policy was, but what they were describing as the norm was a bit concerning. And that's why you're going to get asked questions like this. This is why you're going to get asked questions about contentious issues. Because if you can't deal with the contentious, difficult stuff, how can we trust you at 4 o'clock in the morning with pips or stripes on your shoulders to keep the wheel on? Not just operationally, but in terms of issues like this, because it's the people issues that are the ones that are going to cause you the biggest headaches. This is in my experience, but it's the people issues that cause the biggest headaches. Dealing with the murder, dealing with the serious sexual abuse, dealing with the armed robbery, dealing with the firearms incident, dealing with all of those things after more than several years in the rank of inspector, didn't find those too difficult. The things I did find difficult is people. Once you involve police officers in the mix, things get difficult because people can be, not are always, but as you well know, can be difficult. So prepare yourself for these sort of questions, because these are the sort of questions that are either going to get you promoted when you answer them correctly, or they're going to get you failed if you answer them dismally. Hopefully this makes sense to you folks. Hopefully it's landed well. And if you want to find out a little bit more about our Promotion Academy program, where we can actually guarantee you the result, we actually do that, then the process is quite simple. You complete a form, which is below. Once you've completed the form, which just asks you questions about where you are now, where do you want to be, what you're struggling with, and then we'll have a call with you and we will work out whether you're a good fit for the Academy, and you can work out whether we're a good fit for you. And if it works both ways, then we can talk about engaging with you with our one-to-one support, small group webinars, recordings of all the webinars, all the online material, all the support and guidance that we know how to deliver to ensure that you get that pass. And that's why we actually wrap a guarantee around it, because we are that good. Seriously, we are. So hopefully helpful, folks. Look forward to seeing you soon, and stay safe out there, because you're a serving officer. Stay safe, look after each other, do the right thing. Speak to you soon.